Welcome back. Well, members of the Labor Party are using social media to undermine Peter Dutton's nuclear plan. Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen and Federal MP Andrew Leigh sharing these images on Instagram, just some of the many circulating on social media. Joining us to discuss today's headlines is ALP National President Wayne Swan and Independent MP Dai Le in the studio with me. Good to see you both.
Good morning.
Wayne, is Labor being a little bit childish here with these three-eyed fish memes?
Well, I think the lack of detail is deeply irresponsible. If I, as Shadow Treasurer, had presented a plan like this, I would have had my arms and legs ripped off by Laurie Oakes and been described by The Australian as a dangerous socialist. So, they've left themselves open to these sorts of critiques because of the irresponsibility of what they've put forward.
Yeah, the detail is lacking. I mean, that behaviour, though, it's been dubbed deeply embarrassing by nuclear scientist Dr. Addie Patterson. CSIRO science is okay, according to Labor, but not necessarily nuclear science?
Well, Sarah, you should look across the front pages of the News Limited papers with some of the descriptions of the Labor Party from time to time. This sort of political commentary happens everywhere in politics and is particularly used against Labor politicians by the Murdoch media.
So the Labor politicians are taking that up. Di, what do you think of this nuclear plan? Is it pie-in-the-sky stuff or is it feasible?
Can I say I'm not ideological? I'm very pragmatic. And, sure, have a conversation about this, but let's not get distracted from the actual core issue here for everyday Australian is the cost of living. Energy bills are still going up. I've been door knocking and people are still bringing the issue to me around the cost of petrol prices, and there's something that the government of the day can do to alleviate this cost of living pressure for people. So every MPs, all the elite politicians, can I say, call them back and focus on everyday living for our community, because people are struggling out there, honestly, Sarah. When I go, grocery prices have gone up. What is the government doing about the energy bills? $300 rebate from the budget is like snow on a hot plate. Really, it doesn't actually really help people at all. So let's talk about solutions for people now.
Well, I think we should be, which is why the tax cuts are coming on the 1st of July and all the other energy assistance.
$300, honestly, Wayne, it's just like I said, snowflakes on a hot plate. It doesn't do anything. $325 for small business doesn't help small businesses that are seeing the triple increase in energy prices.
Well, the tax cuts are worth a lot more than $300.
Well,
anyway.
I'm just talking about energy prices. Small, it's about $15.
Well, that's right. That's why the tax cuts are coming.
$15, I think, a week in the tax cut, my belief, and I don't know how many cup of coffees you can buy with that. But
well,
look, I'm not saying...
If you give energy relief and tax cuts, you give relief to people. We've got to be responsible about how we do this, and it's being done.
I hope, but I'm
and
just
you
saying...
can't deny that, Di.
Well, I do acknowledge the government did something small, but there needs to be done more.
Well, the government's doing a lot more with tax cuts on the 1st of July.
I mean, I think if we stay on the topic that you touch on there with energy, right, and this transition, I mean, winter, we're hearing, Swanee, is going to get even colder on the east coast for Aussies. The Australian Energy Market Operator warning a lack of wind and solar energy going onto the grid could create a gas shortfall. Obviously, Labor isn't prioritising gas at the moment. Do we have enough, though, well, in the transition, but there's not enough until the transition.
Well, there's plenty of gas in Australia and we export a hell of a lot of gas.
What's happening in Victoria? They've stopped.
Well, there's a challenge with the distribution of gas in this country, and that goes back about 15 years when the carbon price was abolished and we didn't then build the energy storage we need for gas and other energy.
The gas issue is a real one, you can't deny that.
It is absolutely a real issue. No doubt about that, and gas has got a role to play in the transition. My point is there is plenty of gas in Australia, but it is not distributed properly at the moment. Because we don't have the energy storage we need. We stunted the development of renewables, we stunted storage when Peter Dutton knocked off the carbon price, and we're living with the consequences of that. As
you know, some states are stopping production altogether, but Di, this really speaks to the transition in energy, and nuclear isn't going to solve that either.
No, and I've said, the transition period we have not actually focused on. People have demonised gas, and I have always said gas is a critical place, a critical role for people's energy supply. And I think that, we need to look at what we have got now in terms of what's available, gas, renewable, coal power. Let's look at how we can make that work to bring down energy prices and the bills for our everyday working Australians. That's priority for me. That is priority.
Yeah, it's hurting everyone at the moment. All right, well, let's get on